everybody that I've talked to and talked to them, their journey's different. So this is all just to give you an idea if this is something you want to pursue. If it's not, and it's just something you find interesting, it's going to be awesome for you as well. So with that out of the way, now I can say the craziest stuff. I'll try not to swear too, because I know this is obviously not the place for that, but sometimes David can attest to this. UNCG just allows it, and it became a part of my vernacular. So excuse me if I slip up. So I'm Tyler. I'm give or take David's age. So the last time I was in high school was 10 years ago. Even though I play a high schooler on TV still. So from North Carolina, I similar to you guys was involved in acting in high school, and I decided that was like going to be what I wanted to pursue and do. I went on to go to UNCG, which is where I met David for acting. He was, I believe, from the very beginning, a theater ed major, or did you start? Yeah, so theater ed major, but the programs at UNCG are all very close, kind of, so everyone knows everyone. And studied acting there. I had a wonderful 4 years of well, ups and downs in college. We can get into that as well as high school and everything else that you do in life. But then moved back home for 2 years, spent that time living with my parents in North Carolina. I joked that I was like working at the Apple store by day and then making self-tapes at night in the garage with my mother. She was a great sport. Some of the scenes she had to do were not PG-13, and they were things that you probably never wish to hear your mother say. So she gets an award for that for sure. And after 2 years of kind of working in Atlanta and doing a couple projects, I made the move to New York City. And I lived in New York City for the better part of 3 years, working on projects like 13 Reasons Why in San Francisco and Tales from the Loop in Canada. So it's kind of back and forth all over the place. And then just in the last 2-3 months, my girlfriend and I decided to leave New York City during the pandemic and move to Los Angeles, California. So that's where I am currently here right now, and Playa del Rey, which is a cute little beach town on the West Coast. So I now wake up and go walk to the beach, and it's a way different life than New York City ever was. Both good. We can talk about that. And so that kind of gets you to where I am now. I spent 4 months in Miami quarantining with my girlfriend's family. We can talk about that. That was obviously a unique experience. I guess that you guys have like obviously quarantined with your families, but yeah. So like, how did all that happen? Because that just seemed like kind of like a glossed over. I just wanted you to get kind of a time frame of where I am versus where you guys are. The most exciting thing I've ever been a part of, obviously, to this day is 13 Reasons Why. I think that's probably why, if any of you do know me, it's from that show, Charlie St. George. That journey for me actually started in 2016 when I remember I had gotten my agents in North Carolina, because they're, you know, if you are looking to get into this business, there are agents everywhere. You don't have to go to New York City or Los Angeles to get an agent. They are everywhere. You just got to find the right one. And so I had these great agents in North Carolina, and they sent me this audition for a new pilot for Netflix, and it was called 13 Reasons Why. And it was based on a book, and Selena Gomez was going to be producing it. And I remember reading the first episode in my childhood bed, because I'm back home, and I was like, whoa, this is going to be very good. And at the time I was auditioning for Clay, the lead character. And I remember doing that tape in my in my garage, my mom, and just feeling really connected, like I really, really wanted it. But I knew that I absolutely had no shot, because it's the lead of what was probably going to be a major Netflix show. So I auditioned, but casting really liked it. So they actually reached out for me to audition for the role of Zach Dempsey, which is played by Ross Butler. And the guy who's like way more motivated than me. And they reached out for me for that role. Obviously it went to Ross, and he's a much better Zach than I've ever been. But I had auditioned then for 2 roles in that show, and I didn't get anything. And I was like, man, it came out inevitably like a year later, and it was like, whoa, this is so good. It blew up overnight, right? So then season 2, I got another couple auditions for the new characters, Cyrus and Scott Reed, and got really close to booking the baseball player Scott Reed, but didn't book it. And so now we're like literally 2.5 years in, and the audition for season 3 comes in for Charlie St. George. And when you get some auditions, there's some that just feel like, this is one. This is me. This fits everything that I am to a T. I can knock this out of the park. They have to give me the role. And of course, no one has to give you anything, so never live your life. But you have that moment of feeling that way. And I remember we were actually in Disney World this is back when the world was open. And I got the audition, and I remember making that tape in Disney at the hotel and then sending it and then getting good feedback and getting a call back. And at that point, when you get a call back, I always like to say, you're good enough to book the role. It's just a matter of what you look like and the things that you can't control. We can get into that later too. But basically, get the call back, and I know it's between me and 4 other people. All leads up to like this one moment at 10 o'clock on a Thursday night in New York, and they call me and they say, you're the choice. You're getting on a plane at 5 a.m. tomorrow to come to San Francisco to start working. You have a fitting. And that's how fast this stuff moves. So I literally had to call my Apple boss at like 10:30 p.m. And I was like, hey, based on our conversation earlier this week about me potentially booking this job, the good news is I booked it. And he's like, yes. I was like, the bad news is I'm not coming into work tomorrow or ever again.